And she was like, "You are an eagle surrounded by a bunch of chickens." Hi guys, welcome back to this channel. I am Darian, and today we're going to talk about the eagle versus the chicken mentality. I find it so funny that I'm actually making this video today because of how this whole thing was even introduced to my life, and me having to walk out years and finally the revelation making sense, and me being able to extract wisdom from the situations that I've gone through in life to now be able to share with you guys and make this video is just it's funny in a good way, but it's also like, wow, like actually it's amazing. It's amazing. So I'm excited to share this video, and I believe that you guys watching it is going to be good for you. You'll be able to take some lessons and wisdom and knowledge that I have learned from my life and hopefully use it to benefit your life. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, so to even start out this video, I want to first talk about these things. So years ago, this was before I went through my whole journey of elevation. This was before I knew who I was. This was before I really knew where I was going and purpose for my life and all these things. I was going through like this crisis-like period in my life, and I did not know what was to come from that. I did not know that I literally was about to walk into my time of elevation, coming up higher and just growing as a person. Before that time, I don't really recall having a great time of elevation and growth. Obviously, in different ways, in smaller ways, I feel like we continue to elevate and grow in life, but this was like a big season of elevation for me, a big period of growth for me, where I could drastically see a change in me after these years of walking through the process. So this was in a time where I just needed some kind of spiritual guidance. I just needed someone to help me understand what was going on. At that point in time, I was still growing in my relationship with God, which I feel like if you were still living, you're constantly growing, but I was growing in my relationship and understanding of God. So I didn't really know to go to him and seek him and find out what's going on with me. What's happening? Why is my life like this? But thankfully, he placed the right people in my life in that season to help me to kind of navigate and know where to go and what's happening and what to look out for. So I remember this woman speaking over me, and I didn't know her personally. Like, it wasn't somebody I knew physically, like I could go to her house, or it wasn't anything like that. It was actually in that season a relationship built through online technology. So I find it a blessing to be able to have these things in this time, because I can't even really imagine how I would have gotten the things that I got imparted into me from her at that time if that avenue was not here. But anyway, so she kind of served as like a spiritual mother for me in that time. And one day she spoke over me prophetically, and she was like, "You are an eagle surrounded by a bunch of chickens." And before I even go any further, I want to say that this video is not meant to demean anyone. It's not meant to bring anyone down. It's not meant to make anyone feel bad about themselves. This more so is a video to kind of point out mentalities that we can have in life. And I myself have had my times of being at both places. Honestly, in other terms, I think you can kind of like compare it to the low vibrational to the high vibrational conversation. So this is not meant to make anyone feel inferior, even superior. This video is just to help to give greater understanding on certain mindsets and what you can expect from a person who may be operating from a certain mindset versus the other. back to what I was saying. When she said, "You are an eagle surrounded by a bunch of chickens." At that time, I knew what she meant, but I didn't know fully how to really receive it. And again, this lady did not know me personally. She's never been around my friendships or the different relationships that I had around me. So there was no way for her to naturally just know this. And when she said it, it was kind of like a shock because I have been around certain people for years. You know, you have your group or your clique that you hang out with, the people that you're used to hanging out with for however many years, and you don't really think like, oh, I'm at a different level, or maybe I am progressing. At that time, I did not have that mentality. At that time, I wasn't able to spiritually, or even just being able to see it in natural terms, I wasn't able to really see that I had already been elevating above the mindsets and the behaviors of certain people that I was still hanging around with. I felt like because we were cool, I felt like because we had this rapport and we knew each other for such a certain time, that meant, you know, we one flock. No. But she was able to see something that I was not able to see. She was able to see what was about to happen in my life and give me that wisdom and that spiritual insight so that as things were unraveling and things were unfolding, I would have that information to be able to walk out these next steps of what was about to happen in my life. So fast forward a little bit, same season, same kind of time period. This lady, she reaches out to me again. I don't know her personally. I knew her from like joining like groups online and stuff like that. But she said to me that she felt led to reach out to me and kind of mentor me for a little bit. So she actually coached me and gave me, you know, time and sessions and homework. She gave me homework, okay? And she was not connected to the other lady. She did not know the other lady. She also would prophetically like speak to me. So I didn't have to really tell her a lot, but she was able to guide me and teach me and give me wisdom from a place prophetically and spiritually that I needed, that God knew I was going to need in that time for the next place that he was taking me. And so go figure that one of the homework assignments was for me to study the eagle. Again, never had any connection really to eagles or even chickens. That was never anything that I was interested in studying. And for this message to be brought up by two different people, so I didn't really know much about the eagle, but I did have what the lady prior had spoke to me. And even then, now that I think back to then, I don't think it really fully made sense to me in that season. But now that I'm out of the season and I walked through it, it makes sense now. It's like a bright light for me. And I see why those things were pointed out to me. So in that time period, I was learning God's voice and how he speaks to me and the different ways that he gets messages to me. And I kid you not, literally, I was in the backyard. This big eagle just swoops down, almost swiping the ground. Like when it happened, I was just outside. I like to be outside and look at nature and stuff. Like have my moments to just get out and rest, recharge. Big eagle comes down, swoops down, and flies up. And this was in a season where honestly, I didn't even really know what was happening in my life. I had an idea that, you know, obviously things were shifting. And this was also in a place where I was still learning who I was and growing. And I didn't yet have that confidence in who I am and who I was going to be. Like things were just not all the way connected. And I was trying to figure out the path that was called for me and chosen for me, but also like let go of the things that I thought was for me. It was just a lot going on in that season. So for me to see this big old bird come down, I'm like, okay, all right, God is trying to literally get this message to me about the ego. So from that moment, it was kind of like an awakening for me. Like, this is a message that God is sending, that I'm calling you higher. I need you to walk higher than what you've been walking in. I need you to go to that next level. And it don't matter what the people around you, what they want to walk in and be in and do, what their mindsets are, but it matters what yours is. And I'm trying to lead you to where I want you to be thinking. I'm trying to lead you to your elevation. I'm trying to lead you to that higher place. And in order for you to do that, you're going to have to come out from amongst the chickens and soar like an eagle. So since that time, my focus had been on elevating and growing and becoming a better version of me, coming out from that lower vibrational mindset and picking up that higher mindset. And I started to notice, as I started to embrace and walk in that eagle mentality and really take on that as my new mindset, it did not sit well with the people who were operating from that lower level, with the people who were operating still from that chicken mentality. It was hard. It was rough. It took strength, bravery, and courage to walk away. I suffered a lot of persecution because, to be honest, when you are used to being around people, even if you are somebody with greatness and excellence in you and you're not able to see it yet, other people see it. But when you finally wake up and you say, okay, it's time for me to pursue the next thing for me, you realize that the people around you, a lot of them won't be able to take it. Like, when you start to elevate, it's going to be offensive to them. Like, who is you? Who are you? You think now that you're better than me and you can now just do better? And I'm not talking about a person that has been like, oh, it's time for my elevation. You know, not in a rude way of like just dropping people, but as you just start to walk in these new spaces and come higher and see yourself from a better place and want better for your life, you will notice, I want to say, that everybody is not going to be happy about that. That the people you used to roll with are not going to be happy that now you're at this new place. Either they're going to eventually get to a place where they try to sabotage you from getting to this new place, or they're going to completely walk away. You're not going to be able to take any dead weight with you if you're trying to go higher. You're going to have to drop what is no longer necessary for that next season of your life. And if you hold on to it, that's when the things like sabotage and betrayal and all these other things start to happen, because you continue to bring something where it shouldn't have been. So do not be surprised when you start to elevate that you experience warfare, that you experience relational, possibly discord, and things not really being able to work out and go well like they may have in the past, and just having to navigate life from a new place and let go of some old things and embrace the new things. Okay, so since that season of me actually looking up about eagles and the different characteristics and stuff like that from those years ago, I have kept in my mind the things that an eagle would do, the attitude of an eagle, or the different like characteristics or personality traits that the eagle shows in the wild. And so I am actually going to just speak to you about some of those things, but from like a perspective of life, like just viewing it as how you may operate in life with the eagle mentality versus if somebody has a chicken mentality still, how they would operate or how they may view things. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So one of the things that was actually spoken to me by one of the women that was speaking over my life was that you gotta fly high. Eagles fly high. Like, they're soaring. Okay? They understand greatness. And we're speaking metaphorically so that you can relate this to real life. But literally, eagles fly high and soar high in the natural. But if you have an eagle mentality, your mindset is on that thing that thing that you want to accomplish. Your mindset is on that thing that you know in your heart and your spirit that you're supposed to be doing. And it may be greater than anyone around you can understand. It may be greater than your friends and your family can understand. But you know in your heart that this great vision, this great thing that you have, you are meant to do it. And this is why you have to be strong and stand in your conviction of what you are supposed to be doing for your purpose, for your life. And you got to just go with it. You can't depend on the people around you to support you. Yes, it's nice if they do. But if you have an ego mindset, you cannot sit around and wait for everybody to come on board with what you know you are supposed to be doing and you need to do. You just got to go full force and do it. Once you come into that mentality, that ego mentality, it's just certain things that you may have done before that you realize, like, I have elevated. I cannot do this anymore. Like, I'm better than what I have been doing. I have progressed to a new place. And again, that goes back to a lot of the people who may have been doing the same things also are in that same place. Once you come up out of that, once you realize, like, I'm better than this, like, I am supposed to be doing other things, like, I'm supposed to be doing greater things, you're going to have to understand that they may take offense to it. They more than likely will take offense to it. But your job has to be to stay focused on the end goal, stay focused on that next level, stay focused to where you are going. And I want to say that when I mention elevation, I mean in all different ways. I believe we elevate physically, whether that's maybe you reached a weight loss goal, maybe you just started dressing better, dressing differently, carrying yourself in a different way, in a way that makes you feel like the highest version of yourself. Spiritually, that was one of the areas that I grew a lot quickly. And once I grew spiritually, that's when all the other areas of my life, the physical, the mental, and the emotional, increased for me in elevation also. Just elevating and becoming a higher functioning person in that aspect. So I personally have not done a lot of research on chickens. I just kind of know things about what I've seen in life regarding the chicken. And from what I've seen, chickens usually stay low to the ground. And obviously, that's naturally how they're built and what they do. But when you think about it from a life or a philosophical kind of perspective, an eagle flying high, soaring to great heights versus a chicken who stays low on the ground most of its life, I'm assuming, and doesn't really, I do believe they do fly, but they don't really go to great heights. That already is a thing of mentality, because the reality is that there are different types of people. There are people who are willing to come from that lower place and say, you know what, I'm going to soar high. I'm going to go higher and do the greater thing that I feel in my heart to do. Versus there are some people who they're not in that place to soar high. They're not in that place to do what they need to do. They don't care to do better, and they don't care to go to a greater place. And that is okay. We get to choose our life. We get to choose what we want to do in life and where we want to go in life. So either way, we have that freedom to choose both directions. Okay, let's move into the next thing. So I found it so interesting that eagles are very selective. They like to be in solitude. They're not really birds that hang around flocks and cliques and things like that. I don't know the exact scientific word, but every time I've seen chickens, they've always been in a group, a large group, and flocking together and just kind of like all over each other and just one big group. The thought of an eagle being able to stand by itself and be a strong bird and do what it needs to do. And I'm in no way saying that you can't have a relationship or can't have people around you. But I do believe that there is a blessing in knowing when to isolate from a positive place. Isolating because you know you're about to build something. Isolating because you know you need to focus on the greater thing coming. Isolating because you know you're being distracted by the group of people that you've been around. And to be honest, when I've had moments where I've been a part of groups and not really cliques. I've never really been a person that has been cliquish, or I've had my friends in groups, but I've never really been that like mean girl clique type of person. But when I have been connected to groups, I noticed that at a certain time it needed to end. I noticed that when I pulled back because I know that I need to focus on things, it's always been like drama or messiness. And when those things are happening, if you see it from a spiritual place, if you see it from a place of elevation and just understanding the dynamics of different things that happen, you understand that it's spiritual warfare. You understand that as you start to elevate, that group is not going to be happy about that, because it's kind of like, who do you think you are that you're leaving? Not even leaving, but you're elevating above what the group may have felt comfortable with you at that moment. And now you call yourself going higher. It usually does not go well with those clicks. So having an ego mentality requires you to be able to say, it's greater over here. So I'm going to have to leave this flock and I'm going to have to fly solo for however long. Maybe it's a little bit longer over time, so that I can get done what I need to get done. If you want to be somebody who is wealthy, if you want to be somebody who has great things accomplished, you have to know how to be able to stand alone and do what you need to do. You have to have that mindset that I cannot be running behind this group. I cannot be running behind what the group wants me to do. I have to do what's best for myself so that I can reach these places. People that are doing great things, people that are in these high places, people that are accomplishing these major goals, they have self-discipline. They know when they've had to isolate and leave people behind so that they can accomplish these things. So I did see that eagles are very selective, and they also usually are alone. They mate for life, I believe. So I take that as that you may be a person that has your select few people in your life, but you understand that the flock is not going to help you to reach greater heights. Usually people like to be around people that make them feel like they're on the same level. But as soon as things shift, as soon as things change, that's usually when you'll start to see that there's a breakdown in the relationship, or a breakdown in what was. Also, with knowing that you are going to a greater place or a higher place, you have to be selective with who you allow in your life. You have to be selective with who you are associating yourself with. Not to say that you're better than anybody, but you understand the dynamics of who you associate yourself with can affect how things go in your life. Who you allow in your life can cause destruction, or it can help you to continue into elevation. I absolutely do believe in divine connections. Just as I was talking about the two women who helped to mentor me in that season, I truly believe and know that those were divine connections, because if I would have never come across them, who knows if I would have ever gotten this awakening, or who knows if I would have ever been able to receive this revelation of me going higher, me stepping into this eagle role versus the chicken mentality. So you have to be discerning to know that, is this a good divine connection, or is this sent from the enemy to hold me back, to set me back, so that I don't reach the goals that I'm supposed to be doing, so that I don't get to my purpose, so that I don't become this great thing that I'm supposed to be becoming. Okay? Do you have people in your life that's going to get in the way of you becoming this millionaire or billionaire that you know you're supposed to be? Do you have people coming in your life that's coming to try to destroy what you are building, what you know you are set to establish, so that the generations behind you have something? So with every person that attempts to come in your life, discern, pray, Lord, if this person is not supposed to be in my life, let me know, Lord. Because that prayer, every time I had prayed that prayer, even in times where I thought that everything was good or that the people around me were good, it's like they just start disappearing out of my life. Things just start shifting, messing up, to where it's like, okay, Lord, all right, I got to let go of them too. So it's just a thing that you have to be willing to just embrace and step in. And you got to let go of any feelings of rejection and feeling like you got to hold on to people because you don't know if you'll ever receive more people in your life. For me, when I felt those moments where I wanted to hold on to people, because, we're supposed to have connections in life and friendships and all these things. Once I finally fully stepped into the vision of where my life is going and the greater picture, it was easier to let those things go because I realized that the people that were not good for me were holding me back. I realized that where I was going and where my mindset had now shifted, it wasn't agreeing with the same mindset that I was able to be around in the past. And so I had to embrace the new place and just go. Okay, so one thing I want to mention is you can look at an eagle and see that it's something about that bird. Even if you have not done any extensive study or gone deep into looking at an eagle, because even then, I still feel like even though I have done some, like just looking up stuff about them, I haven't gone deep in like research. I feel like whenever I see an eagle, it's something mysterious about that bird. It's something about that bird that says, I'm not the one. When I think about a chicken, I don't really get the same kind of feeling. A chicken just does not do that for me. And this brings me back to a memory of when I was going through a season where I felt like I was being attacked spiritually by the demons and people that I had around me that I thought were friends, that I thought were for me. And God was showing me that these people are not for you. It's no longer acceptable for you to have these people in your life because these people don't care about where you're going. These people actually want to sabotage where I'm trying to take you. I remember I'm a very like observant person, and I remember being outside and just in my thoughts going for a walk. And I like to just see, like when I see things happening, I can like quickly see the message in it. And I don't think this was an actual eagle. This just seemed like a bigger bird, like a hawk or something. A bird that still looked like he was about his business. And I noticed these little tiny birds, like the bird that I was seeing, probably about this big. These little tiny birds, about this size, were flying around this bigger bird and pecking at it. Just pecking at it. And you know that bird continued to look forward and continued to fly on about his way. That bird, based off of size, could have easily latched onto one of those little birds. And it could have been a done day. But that bigger bird understood that these little tiny birds trying to peck at me, trying to get me off course, trying to take me off focus, trying to do little things to distract me, and trying to cause all this in my life, these little tiny birds are not worth it. They're not. If I stop and get these little birds together and play around with these little birds so they understand, that's going to take time away from me getting to where I need to go. That's going to take time from me being able to accomplish more because I done spent extra time over here playing with these little tiny birds that I know if I had the chance to handle the situation would have been handled. You have to have that confidence and you have to have that knowing to know that I know the level that I'm at. I am not about to come down to the mentality of these little birds. And these little birds aren't even chickens, but I'm not about to let these little birds who clearly don't have anything to do in their time, they clearly are not focused on great things at the moment. So I'm not going to bring myself down to this level of these little birds. I got stuff to accomplish. Eventually, these little birds doing the little pecking and everything gonna realize that this big bird was focused on the things to come. This big bird was focused on the assignment and couldn't allow these little birds trying to pull it down, trying to stop it, trying to aggravate and get under its skin. It couldn't allow those little birds to keep it from what it knew it had to get to. It's so interesting even thinking about that situation, that the little birds who don't have as much power, the little birds who don't have as much, they're not able to really do what that big bird can do. I'm sure that bird can just swipe one of its wings and the little birds could have been somewhere else, okay? But because those little tiny birds understand the power that this big bird has, it has to come in groups. They have to band together so that they can try to attack this big bird and bring it down, because those little birds know that by itself, it cannot bring this big bird down. And this is something that I have seen and witnessed in real life. You'll have groups of people, whether it's a group of girls, group of guys, old friends, whether it could be a group of family members. They will literally understand and see greatness on a person. They will literally see that this person is going to higher heights. And in order to try to keep that person, you have to look at things from a spiritual perspective. Sabotage spirits and all these things. In order for them to bring that person down, to keep that person from going to where they're going, guess what? That group now bands together to come against that person. That group now comes together to try to derail the plan of that person. And so there are so many lessons that you can take from just literally looking at the differences in animals. Whenever I think of chickens, I just think of them being in their big group, fighting over little pecks of food and screaming and chuckling, whatever the noise is that they make, acting wild, essentially. Whenever I think of an eagle, I don't think of this behavior. What I think of from an eagle is an eagle being about its business. An eagle is focused on the mission. When an eagle is going to eat, it is hunting for its prey strategically. It has a method to how it's eaten. It's not just fighting with other people over scraps. When you understand your value, when you understand who you are on the raking, you don't fight with other people over scraps. You don't fight with other people over minuscule things. You don't fight with other people over things that don't matter, because you are focused on the goal. You are focused on getting that target. And you can't allow these other little things to keep you off course. Again, going back to an eagle knowing when it's time for them to isolate and be alone and come from amongst the group so that they can get done what they need to get done, regardless of how that group may turn against you or treat you or come against you. When I've had those moments and I knew that I was doing what I need to be doing, and these little demonic attacks, people were coming to try to do their little demonic attack, you know what I did? Gave it to God. And I'm not hearing nothing from these people no more, okay? I believe they're still alive, but what I'm essentially saying is those little distractions are gone, okay? And I don't hear from those distractions and those people anymore. I stand focused on the course. Okay, so the next thing that I found very intriguing about an eagle is that an eagle will power through the storm. They see the storm as a challenge and not as a place of defeat. And I find that so interesting, because how often in life do we give in once a storm comes? Our life seems great, then all of a sudden we're faced with warfare. We have people coming against us. We have different things coming against us, seeming like it's not working for us. And we want to give up. We want to throw in the towel and turn back and get under the covers and stuff. But if you are going to get to great places, you got to get out of that mentality. You got to get up. You got to fight for what's yours. And you got to power through the storm. So if that means you have to put a schedule together to say, hey, I'm going to get up, work out. I may be going through right now. I may not be feeling this right now, but I'm going to put this schedule together where I work out, I eat my breakfast, I do my work, and then I take some time in the day to rest for myself, but I'm working on my goals. I'm working towards what I need to do. Then you got to do that. If that means that in this season, in this couple of months, I can't really be hanging out with friends and talking to people because it's not really helping me to have what I need to power through the things happening in my life and coming in my life, then you got to do that. If it means that you got to pray a little longer, fast, spend some extra time in the Word so you know how to fight against these attacks, then you're going to have to decide that you want to do that so that you can get to that next level, so that you know exactly how the enemy is trying to come at you. Okay, so when you face these obstacles and challenges, If you have an ego mentality, you are not quick to give in. Yes, you may want to give in. Yes, you may have those feelings, but you understand that it's greater than you. You understand that you got to push past your emotions. You got to push past what you're feeling in the moment so that you can accomplish what you are trying to accomplish. Okay? Okay. That actually reminds me of, I'm thinking back to a chicken now. Whenever I have grown up and somebody was describing somebody that was scared or not really brave or anything or courageous, the first thing they call them is a chicken. So you don't want to be chicken, okay? You don't want to cop out from your purpose. You don't want to cop out from your assignment in life. You don't want to be chicken when it comes to the things that you are meant to be doing. To be honest, life is going to have its hard times. It's going to have its hard days. And so you have to build yourself up spiritually, even physically. You may have to build yourself up mentally, emotionally. You can't allow these things that are coming in your life to cause you to spiral and break down. If you're trying to build something great and stay focused on the mission, you have to learn to strengthen yourself. And sometimes these storms come to literally just strengthen you. These storms come because if you don't get through this storm, you're not going to be able to get to the next storm when you do have $20 million. I'm just speaking, maybe that's for somebody out here. When you do have that, now you have other storms coming, but because you went through this storm, you know how to get through this one. It was just preparation for that next level. So that is all that I have for this video. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that it encourages you if you are in a place where you feel like you have that ego mentality, but you have been just taking it hard or just felt alone or haven't felt like you have anyone that understands you. And even if you don't have the ego mentality, you are still important, okay? You are important. It took me having to get to that certain season to be able to push through to enter that season of walking out the ego, walking out the mentality of the ego. So, yes, wherever you are, I hope that this video helped you. And I thank you so much for tuning in and watching. And I hope that you have a great day. Bye.